A lot of companies, we have more data than we've ever had before. So it is easy to think, wow, we've got more data to understand our customer than we've ever before. Just dig deep in there.
Yeah.
And then, boy, on top of that, we have sales are having conversations with prospects all the time. Customer success is having conversations with customers. We're talking to prospects and customers. We're getting all this data. We pretty much have what we need. But you had a unique perspective, which I loved, which is that when customers or prospects are talking to sales, right, that is a very specific environment. And there's like a shield that's up. You're being sold to. The amount that you're going to open up and truly talk about your challenges, and something that I looked up since you and I last talked, Dawn, who's like the biggest recording company of sales conversations, they did a huge study, like 4,000 different sales conversations. And you know what they found out? That the sales rep talks on average 2/3 to 3/4 of the time.
Yeah. Not a surprise, huh? It's a sales job.
And then you look at customer success conversations and you say, okay, their goal is to put out fires, answer questions, and cross-sell and upsell. You would never define or design a true deep, as you characterize it, deep understanding learning program of the customer and run it through existing processes that have a different set of contexts, a different set of goals and outcomes in mind, right? But we use that data and those conversations as a proxy to really understanding our customers. Now, here's where I think this all leads. And it was the second thing that you brought up. We are, as B2B sellers to B2B buyers, we have less trust than we have ever had. You could look at like global element index, trust index. In the United States, it's going down the fastest. In Europe, it's going down extremely fast. 74% of B2B buyers don't believe the customer evidence we present to them. Over 60% of buyers think that salespeople are misleading intentionally, and that if you put them on a hierarchy of who is trusted the most, salespeople are down at the bottom. So this is the environment we have, and you wonder why they're waiting longer and longer. They're doing more and more of their research, and they don't want to talk to us until the very end of the process. Put 1 and 1 together, and it clearly equals 2. So here's my question to you. In that kind of an environment, what do we need to do? And your answer to that on our previous conversation is dig deeper into the customer and the understanding of the customer. Why do you think that is the anecdote, right, for what I call the trust epidemic that's happening here?
Let me start from a different angle. I started at Gantrack 7 years ago. And what I started to initiate right from the beginning was VOC calls, voice of the customer calls, but conducted by marketing. Initial reaction from sales colleagues across every region was, oh, come on, Barbara, what do you want to know about my customer? I can tell you. You don't need to bother him. I know my customer. And I said, you will be surprised when we talk to them. You hear things you have never heard about. Anyway, we got to start VOCs. And that for me is part of the trust building story. First of all, like you said, if sales managers talk to their customers all the time, but it's always a transactional relationship. And from the customer point of view, I would say there's always the price elephant in the room. Because when I talk to my sales guy, in a way, my final objective is still to get more for a lower price. He's my transactional contact. If marketing steps in, first of all, we conduct such an interview very differently. You talked about the share of talking done. The marketing person well-trained to do a VOC to the customer isn't even obviously steering the conversation. We are guiding it from the background and having the customer narrate their challenges, their story, and we guide it by questions that show we understand the customer business. For me, that's number one, to build trust. If you randomly ask me questions, I'm at one point like, come on, please do your homework first. I understand your business. I get you to talk. And honestly, Steve, we had many VOCs done where at the end, the customer said, in this case, Steve is one of our guys to conduct the VOCs, that, Steve, my goodness, you got me thinking about topics and strategy I wasn't fully aware of. Thanks for this conversation and for helping me clear my mind on the way forward. And I think another reason why marketing needs to conduct the VOCs is twofold. For one, for us, it's natural to feedback findings and conclusions across all company. We don't keep it for ourselves to say, cool, we can build bigger, greater campaigns, good for us. We feed it back to innovation. Hey, customer has this need. Maybe you look into developing the service, into operations, into sales, of course. And I think another distinctive factor is sales talks to active customers. For a good VOC, we talk to all kinds of customers. We talk to lost customers, customers we haven't seen doing business with us for 3 years. We try to get in touch. And something I find very impactful, we do what we call post-mortems after big projects. So we have a big project bid, we lost. And if I ask sales, why did we lose? Oh, price. The competitor was 15% cheaper. What do you think? Can I compete? So that's where we say, let's do a post-mortem call with the customer. Sales says, oh, I can tell you the answer. He will point out the price. And we say, no problem. Let's see what else we can do. So when we conduct these calls, first of all, the challenge is to overcome this deadbeat, oh, it was price answer, because there's more behind. Why is a competitor cheaper? Did they deliver less? Then let's learn what was a good enough offer. Maybe we overspec'd by not understanding the customer need. Did they deliver the same, but then it was at a much cheaper price? Maybe the level of product or service quality was not comparable, which takes us to a learning. Either we didn't communicate that value to the customer with all the impact on their business, or maybe that high quality level of a specific service wasn't really what the customer needed at this time. So as an outcome of these VOCs, we have lots of learnings, more customer insight, and I felt every single one customers appreciated in the end, because they started it somewhat defensively. So like, yeah, just lower your price and I consider you. In the end, sharing their interest, their story and their decision-making process, and appreciating that we say, thank you, we want to improve next time. We want to deliver better proposals to you. So that's for me what sets a true VOC apart from a sales discussion with customers. It brings so much more value.